Simon, first off, what did you find interesting from these parliamentary hearings?
Yeah, good morning. I guess, first and foremost, you guys being in the media, me being on the funds management side, for us, situations like this often can provide opportunities. And overnight, with the shares coming back, it's fair to say that we've been watching this with a fair bit of interest. I guess the contagion effect or possibilities of this thing stemming out of control was something that we had to consider, but the quantum of the earnings that this business makes up for the entire news group, as we know, is less than 1%. We've been focusing on that. I think the sentiment and the way the media has attacked it with a frenzy has basically provided an opportunity. So as fund managers, we're trying to sift out what we think short-term news and where we think is a long-term valuation prospect. And for us, this has certainly provided an opportunity.
Oh, speaking of attack, I thought you were going to mention Wendy Dung's left hook there during the parliamentary debates, especially with the foam pie being thrown at Mr. Murdoch. Okay, so it's a buying opportunity, you're saying, for News Corp shares? I mean, there's still this possible breakup of its empire in the UK. Then what?
Well, I think if News Corp was to divest the papers or get rid of them, sure, that's another possibility. Once again, I don't think that's imminent. We've already seen them withdraw from B Sky B. They still basically have control of that business with around a 40% shareholding. I think it also implies to us that capital management's back on the agenda. There's been a buyback declared, as we know, last week. Come after August 15th, when the results have come out, we expect News Corp to enact that buyback. Once again, capital management will help see the structure of the business, we think, put in good footing. If they do divest some businesses, so be it. We'll judge them as they come. But the vast majority of the earnings in this business are now cable and television, and the likelihood of this News of the World event stemming through to make them have to divest those businesses, which I've read in the press, I think that's a nonsense.
Okay, so you're not then concerned about any contagion to, say, what's happening in the US, even though there are calls for investigations right now?
I'm not saying that we're not concerned. It's something we have to think about, but the calls for concerns can come from any parties at any stage and in any country, and I think News Corp's just another one of these companies that it's there to be kicked at the moment. If it's found that they're not the right and proper person in several jurisdictions, that's another matter for us. But as I said earlier, we're dealing with this as an isolated event at this stage. The reputation of the company still rides with Rupert. He said he frankly is the best person to run it. We've heard of Mr. Carey potentially, taking over. If that were to happen, so be it. I don't think we certainly wouldn't have a problem with that as investors, and I don't think the market would. Where, in fact, if anything, it would distance News Corp from this current scandal, because of course he's not going to be involved with this. So either way, whether the status quo remains or Carey comes in, we still see News Corp as a very viable news corporation business.
Okay, it's interesting that you mentioned Carey. Chase Carey, of course, reports saying that he might be considered as a succession to Murdoch as a CEO. But what about James Murdoch? Some are saying that his display and performance really at this parliamentary hearing makes him look like the next heir apparent.
Well, either way, once again, this is speculation. If you read the Bloomberg News, I think you'll see you guys have got some speculation about Chase coming in there as well. Look, I think it's fair to say if something had to be done, then you'd pick on someone like Chase Carey, who would give you distance from this scandal and a clean, fresh set of eyes and hands of which to steer the ship. So I actually don't think at this stage it looks like it's going to happen. Rupert certainly overnight made no indication that he looked like going. And if the independent directors or the board suggest to him he has to go, sure, but they have opportunities there in succession. Yes, his son James, but let's be fair, he's now, some of the mud's going to stick with that. The other options, if one of them was Carey, he's not going to be associated. So News Corp, whichever way you look at it, have options of what to do from here, and I don't see that as being a problem.
All right, Simon, one more question for you. You hold News Corp shares. With these levels, as you say, they're cheap. Are you buying more or just holding on to what you have?
Look, it's fair to say that over the last week or so, we've certainly been maintaining our position in the stock. so that has meant that we've been in the market. We spent a lot of time assessing this, and we've all touched on the contagion and what might happen, but in reality in fund management our job is to try and look at opportunities, and when they are created, and we think this is one of them, we've got to take advantage of them. We think the stock's been mispriced on the back of sentiment and an overreaction in the media, basically, especially in the UK circles, which, let's be fair, they quite love a scandal over there. Not taking our eyes off the greater picture, and so it's an opportunity. We have been buying and we still think the shares are cheap.